Welcome, everybody. John Cheplak here with you today, and I am excited to spend some time with Shane Torres, broker, owner, manager, probably janitor, all things. Anytime you're in the brokerage business, you kind of do it all of Remax Real Estate Concepts. And in addition to his role as a broker, owner, manager, he also runs a very successful team. So, what we're going to do is spend an hour with Shane and learn a little bit about his organization and how he has led his company, how he continues to grow it today, along with running a very successful team. So welcome, Shane. Great to have you here with us.
Thanks for having me on.
You bet. So if you would, for everyone that's listening and or watching, bring us up to speed on where your organization is today. Talk a little bit about your company, and then also a little bit about your current team that you have in place that has great production and a low listing inventory. We talked on the phone, what was it, 2 days ago, and you said, yeah, my listing inventory is kind of low. I only have 40 listings. So take it
Yeah,
away.
actually 44, but yeah,
44, okay. I shortchanged you.
yeah, it's low compared to normal. So yeah, I'm a broker owner in a larger group with Remax Real Estate Concepts. I personally am involved in 3 offices, but altogether we now have 11 throughout the state of Iowa. Most recently opened in a new one in the Ames, Iowa market, which is where the Iowa State University is. So that's kind of a big deal. Um, we as a company are number 2 in the marketplace with our transaction count with 150 agents compared to the number 1 who has probably upwards of 600 agents. And so a lot of growth over the last few years. So we anticipate quite a bit more, a lot of full-time top producers. From a team standpoint, um, I currently have 9 team members, 4 staff. We did last year 32 million, just under 32 million in production and 202 units. That was second in for Remax in Nebraska and Iowa. So, and we're currently on pace to surpass that this year.
Good for you.
That's kind of a snapshot up to today.
Good, good. So, and right now, I don't know if it's happened yet, but you're opening a brand new office, correct?
Yeah, we just had the computers hooked up yesterday and the printer hooked up yesterday, so we are fully functional. We haven't had the launch party, if you will, for a few weeks, but we're operating out of there now.
Okay.
Tying up some odds and ends, decorating stuff, but yeah, it's open.
And let's talk about that. Certainly, I want to go back to where it all started for you, but let's talk about this moment right now, and going into a new office in a new marketplace. What do you guys look at as a team? What do you look at as a leader when you evaluate going into a marketplace? I know that we had a conversation a couple days ago where you're constantly looking at different markets and measuring whether that's where we need to go. With this office that you're opening up, talk about that. What was the evaluation process, and what are your steps leading up to it?
So, in determining to open it up in the Ames area, we really looked at kind of the demand up there, what the big draw to Ames is. The campus, the ISU campus, is a big deal. That is probably the largest employer in Ames. A lot of people come in and out of there every year, so it's a strong housing market. And when we did our market study on it, they had a 95% occupancy rate at the time, which is just insane. There's a real housing shortage. So we decided to, when looking at that, because it's still within 30 minutes of our other offices. In looking at that, the area that we selected to put our office is really an up and coming area. It's the most popular area of town. It's one of those communities where you have commercial next to residential. You can walk to restaurants, you can walk to bars, and we're right in the mix of that. And that's why we studied it for about a year and a half before we actually did it.
Wow, wow. So you're that diligent.
Yes.
And so the chicken or the egg concept here, certainly you evaluated the marketplace and said, okay, the market looks good. And a lot of times it goes either way. People can say, well, it looks great, but we need to be sure that we have people that are committed. And even with that, that's always a risk. I'll talk to broker owner managers that are recruiting an agent over, and the agent says, I'm going to bring all these people over. And well, all those people don't come over. People that open up startup offices go into a marketplace, and they've got these commitments of 10 people, and maybe one or none show. I mean, we just never know. In going into a market, how much of an impact does that have to do with your choice of knowing we have people or hoping we have people coming over? Or do you just go purely on market data, purely on your business model and your leadership capabilities and a trust you can make it happen? How does that decision take place in your
So
company?
yeah, it's funny you bring that up. So that actually scenario did happen when we first started looking at that market. We sat down and we counted up 15 people that are like, yeah, if you opened up, we'd be there. Um, but it got to the point to where they're like, they didn't see, we could talk to her blue in the face, but they didn't see a storefront, they didn't see an office. So we were working on it for 4 or 5 months and getting nowhere. And so it was this year, the day before Thanksgiving, I decided to just jump online to see what spaces were available. And by the next morning, I was looking at it because it dawned on me that we're not going to get any quality people to continue to join us unless we have the space.
Yeah.
So we just pulled the trigger and did the space. And currently, we are growing the agents, but those 15 that we originally talked to, they're nowhere to be found.
Isn't that
So
funny?
now we're going out and getting others. So yeah, that did happen. And so it was a little bit of a decision to um, we decided for overhead costs, we're like, well, let's have the agent base first, then we'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, it's like we have a good model, we believe in it, and we're just gonna put it into effect, get the storefront open, and it's like, they say you build it, they will come.
And so, with that, certainly anyone that's running a business has to have trust in their model and feeling good about it. What would you say is the ultimate piece that when you go into a marketplace, you have a confidence when you look at the competition? What is it that is the most attractive factor in your organization that pulls agents to you?
Our company, when you look at our company in general, our company is a statewide 170 people of doers. They're full time, fully engaged top producers. So people want to be around people who are doing good things and big things. So if we get a big agent that's transferred, there's usually 3 or 4 to follow. So the model that we have is really, there's nothing like it in the area. We are set up so that you can run your business the way you want. You're not micromanaged, but yet we're there for the support, the background if you need us. So people, they hustle. I mean, we've got 170 hustlers within our company.
So, and then certainly there's the model that's attractive and opening a nice office and the build it we
Yep.
will come, but here's what we do know is it takes work. And I'll go
Yep.
back to I got into leadership in 1995 was my first year in leadership after a sales career. And I was constantly educating myself, and I was so fortunate to go to many different seminars and conventions. And the number one thing that leaders would say is, well, number one and number two, I don't know whether there's really an order, is recruiting is the most daunting task, and finding good leadership, and they
Yep.
went hand in hand. And so let's talk about your recruiting strategy. Number one, what we know is you are with a fabulous brand. Remax is a great organization, has a great business model. I certainly support that model. I support all models because here's at the end of the day, it's always about the leadership. When
Right.
you take a look at, if you were to describe your recruiting strategy, your approach that has brought you guys to where you're at in the marketplace, how would you articulate what you guys do in that process?
We basically, it's all about the agent. What's important to the agent? We try to get that out first and foremost, because one of the first things we say when we sit down with them, we may not be a good fit. We're not looking for just everybody. So we try to get out what their goals are, what they want to accomplish, and come to a place of, there's so much to be had from out there in the world in general, but in real estate. So a place of abundance. So we want to make sure that we're helping them make the best decision. And when we, like I said, when we sat down, we kept, one of the first things we tell them is we may not be a good fit for you, which most people aren't willing to say. Most people would be just bringing in everybody. So just making sure they know it's about them. It's about the agents and making sure they're doing well and that they're going to be a good fit. We don't want to bring someone in who we know is not going to fit into our system and not going to make it. That doesn't do anyone any good.
And where would you say that from a prospecting, because it's so interesting, I'll get in front of agents and broker owners and then even compare my business, as a coach and a trainer, is we're all doing the same thing. We're prospecting, we're demonstrating our value proposition. I mean, there's people that talk about it, but the most valuable thing is demonstrating our value proposition, and then there's follow up to it. What would you say is the most impactful prospecting strategy that you guys use? Is it the telephone? Is it email marketing? Is it snail mail? Or is
We
it
don't
your
do snail
agents?
mail.
Or is it your agents telling other people?
The agents is a big part of it. I mean, the agents are a big part of it. Like I said, we have a good name within the community. We've built a trust with other agents. So as they come over from competitors and they see how things work over here and how nice it is, they tell other agents, and it's a trickle effect. We went from 100 to 150 agents very quickly, just basically by that. For a while we were doing no we don't do snail mail.
Mm-hmm.
We do email. I personally do video.
Mm-hmm.
And those tactics work. But I've said, and I've talked to you on the phone and said we're pretty fortunate at the number that just come to us.
Well, and here's what I want to point out, and it's not saying one is better than the other, and I'm asked this constantly by organizations. John, do we, but companies that don't compensate their agents for recruits, and I've seen it work for people, I've seen it not work, but I don't know if it's really the model that works. It's the culture. Do you compensate your agents at all for recruiting other people into the company?
We do not. We do not. We never have, and we never will. These things have come up, but it's just something we don't believe in. If we're doing our job, they're going to be happy. They're going to tell people. So
Absolutely.
there's no incentive for them to recruit.
In recruiting, what have you found to be outside of certainly the model that you have, and the model being the experience that you're creating for people,
Right.
outside of, again, a great Remax model and branding there. But in taking a look at your activities, what has been the most effective? Has it been the telephone? Has it been email? Has it been
Um,
video? What would you say is most effective in getting the initial audience? Because the thing that people say is, John, get me in front of the agent, and then I'm fine. It's just I can't get in front of them as often as I want to.
within our group, we have 8 broker managers that are help recruit. And personally, for me, I especially over the last 6 7 months, the videos that I've been doing has been huge. Um, Quite honestly, once I do the videos, I usually follow up with a message or a call, just to get in front of people. And lately, I've been getting comments just on the videos in general. So I've been doing a lot of that to get in front of people. The other
So video's been the
brokers,
real impact piece.
you got the other brokers. Some of them call. We're all different ages. I mean, a couple of us are 37. Mid 30s. Some of them are upwards, getting close to 50s.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone's
They're
got
getting old
different.
like they're getting old like me.
Yeah. So it just depends on the broker in general, but everyone's got different methods that work.
Yeah.
And it's just keep doing good job, staying consistent. And it doesn't happen overnight. Some take a year to year and a half before they actually, something happened at their current brokerage, and that's why they switch.
Yeah,
It's not because we were the greatest at that time. It's we've just been there, and when it's time to switch, we're the go-to.
Well, and that is the home run perspective. It's so interesting because brokers will call me and say, John, I had a great interview with someone, or and then I go to follow up with them with an email or a phone call, and they don't return my call, and I say, well, did you spend that hour of time trying to sell them? And or did you spend that hour of time of finding out about and talking to what's most important to them, like the listing presentation they may go on tonight, or how to leverage themselves better with video? um, Talk about the video, and certainly it's been the hot button, and it continues to be in our industry, and the most impactful when done well. Talk about the message that you are putting out there. What's the time frame of your videos? What's the frequency you're putting them out there? And what's the message? Is the message, you know, Remax is wonderful, we're so great, or what is your focus in the message?
So the message is, well, hold on a second. I lost you. Oh, there you are. I lost you for a minute.
Oh, you did?
So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, someone keeps calling. So the message is, it varies. My videos I usually try to keep at 2 minutes or under.
Mhm.
I've done videos on my my favorite apps that I have on my phone. The most recent video I did, actually, I don't usually do Remax specific. It's real estate in general and life in general specific. So that can be used in any platform. So the most recent one I did was a few weeks ago. I did it on quality of life, on why it was important to have a good balance. Because a comment that was made to me was, in a meeting I was with a agent and a spouse, and the agent says, well, I have to make money, but in the spouse's eyes you can see the hurt, and I thought about it, and that topic woke me up the next morning. And I thought about it at that time, and obviously money is important because you have to have it to survive.
Mhm.
But my thing was, at the time, they have kids. The kids aren't going to remember that he made 100 grand that year. They're not going to remember any of that stuff. All they're going to remember is that he wasn't there for their soccer game, or he wasn't there for their dance. That's what that video was about. It was about what is quality of life, because everyone's got different ideas. And at the end of the day, when you leave and you leave this earth, no one's going to care about that. They're going to remember that you weren't around. So, and I personally learned that from a hard lesson. I was there. I was that person. And so everything I do now, I tell people I'm a wealth of knowledge of what not to do.
I
I
get that.
share my perspectives on what I've been through, so others don't have to go through it the hard way. So that video had a great turnout. A lot of people commented on it. Time blocking, just so a lot of my stuff is really centered around how to live a balanced life. And I follow, and I know you guys talk a lot. Joshua Smith, he talks about life balance is possible, but time balance is not, and that's so true.
Mhm.
Time balance does not exist. Because if you want life balance, you got to get up. I'm not like Josh, 3:30, but I do get up at 4, and
We're
to get stuff
close.
done. Yeah, before the day starts.
Well, and I
Um,
have to get up at 3 a.m. on Mondays because I have Josh at 4.
right, to talk to Josh. Right. So, but that's a lot of my videos are just how yeah, some of them are about real estate and about how to do more business, but most of them are about how to just be better at life.
Well, and I think that it goes back to
And
the
let me step back. I do those weekly.
you do them weekly, and I think
Weekly.
that the thing that I want to point out is that in this recruiting or any type of sales process, we can tell people we're great. Someone else can tell them we're great, or we can demonstrate it. And it's this: you're allowing people to have an experience of what it's going to be like working with you before they actually work with you.
Right.
And so you're sending those out once a week. You're
Yep.
talk about where you're pushing those out to. You're sending them out through emails, social media. Talk a little bit about that. Talk about your email open rates, and then I'm going to hit you with a whole bunch of questions at
Mhm.
once here.
So
Where
they
are
go
you?
out.
Where are you sending them out to?
Well,
What's the frequency? And then also, what is the email open rate? And then finally, what's the phone call like now when you call people versus
Mm,
before you were using video?
right. So, so again, they get sent out weekly. The channels they get sent out on are we send them out via email. We use BombBomb to distribute them. They go on Facebook. They go on Twitter. Um, I believe we even started recently doing little snippets on Instagram. Uh, so we try to hit a different channel every day. So we'll do the same video, but it'll go on a different channel each day.
Beautiful.
Google Plus page. It goes on our Google Plus page. So we pretty much cover all channels that are available. Um, Currently, the email open rate it averages probably 42%, 44%, depending on the week. The highest has been in the 60s. Video, actually watching the videos ranges anywhere from 8 to 10%. I'm like I said, the one that I would just spoke about the quality of life that had a much higher than rate than any of the other ones did. Um, so let's see, what was the third question to that?
Well, we talked
Oh,
about frequency once a week. Well, and I think the other piece that's so great that I want to come back to is this repurposing and the power of one piece of content that you are spreading out. You know, so many people are so concerned with, I don't want to hit someone too frequent, or I don't want to be, I put it to Twitter, that's good enough. And you're talking about Instagram, you're talking about Google Plus, Twitter, Facebook, and email. And how much pushback have you heard from people saying, Shane, stop sending your stuff. You're annoying. You're everywhere. Shame on you.
um, I haven't heard any of that. I'm sure there's some of that out there, but if they had, they probably just opted out and I didn't notice it. So,
Sure.
and you're gonna have that, so I don't worry too much about that. And it's gotten, it's becoming increasingly easier. When I first actually started doing video, it came out to a thing in Arizona where you were at, and my first videos I did when I got back were a minute long each, and each took an hour to film. It was that bad of messing up. So now I sat down here a few days ago and knocked out 4 videos in about 20 minutes. So I was in and out. So
So,
it's
so
getting
that's
a lot
what you're
easier.
doing, though, and so people can capture this too. You've got, I'll hear I don't have time, but it's, I don't know if it's time blocking. Everyone has their theories to it. It's choice management is really, we have our different variations. Choice management. You make a choice that once every 4 weeks, you reflect on, and we chatted about this. You reflect on what you're experiencing in the market, what you're experiencing with agents, yours and others, and then you map out your 4 pieces of content for the next month.
Well, and yeah, I mean it's that easy. I actually went to um, before I went on my 10-day trip here just recently. I sat down and I did 8 videos before I left to make sure the content was still going out while I was gone. So yeah, it's just it is choice management, and it is time blocking. I set aside the time to make sure that it gets done.
Well, and now making phone calls, if you go back to the prospecting, the recruiting, dialing for appointments and getting in front of agents prior to using video. Now you're using video, you're making the deposits prior to the call.
Right.
How would you articulate the difference in the call, your comfort level and the receptiveness of the person on the other end of the phone after you've sent a video?
Well, it's better. I mean, obviously, it's there's in the past, everyone's got their idea of what you're like as a person. Or I think I told you this once. The best comment I've ever gotten so far was actually one of my agents told me the best part of my video is that I smiled for the first 5 seconds and it wasn't so intimidating. So you get a lot more. It's more personable. So, and at that point, um, I'm from a just real estate in general standpoint. I want everyone to do well, so that comes across in the video, and then so when I am talking to people, they know, yeah. In some cases, it would be great to have a certain agent over, but I genuinely want to make sure that I can help them out. in any way that I can. So if someone calls me from another brokerage or something like that with questions, they know that I'm sincere when I'm answering, and I'm just not trying to recruit them over.
You bet.
So it's different. They know I'm being genuine, and it's not just a pitch to get them to come over to our company.
You bet. Yeah, they're having an actual experience of you.
Right.
You know, it's there's a I don't know that I've done the formal survey, but I'll call it formal in my way of doing things in different rooms, whether there's been 200 people in the room or 10 people in the room of broker owners, managers, recruiters, and I'll ask them, you know, what percentage of the time when you initially get in front of a recruit, a prospect, are they thinking about making a change? And they say, well, you know, it's across the boards from model to model, market to market. They always say, you know, maybe 5% of the time. So okay,
Mm-hmm.
so why would we jump right into a conversation about making a change
Right.
when that's you know we're talking about relevancy and that's what you're really doing in your messaging.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And, you know, most recently, just again being honest, when I'm reaching out to people, I even will follow up with just so you know, I promise you, this is not a pitch to get you to try to recruit you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's I've had a handful. Again, they sit down, they tell me what they want to accomplish, and again, I like to know who's doing good things because chances are, from a real estate sales perspective, my team's going to end up doing business with them at some point.
Yes, so smart. So we've talked about where you're at today and some of your current and future projects with opening offices and marketplaces. I know you'll continue to grow. Take us all back to the beginning and you know what got you
Uh-huh.
into real estate and how you've moved along this path to what you've been sharing with us.
So how far back do we want to go? Like,
Hey, your call. It's all you.
all right. Well, I'll do a quick snapshot of how we got close to real estate. So, uh, I started out as a framing contractor. That was my background in college and everything. So framing contractor. From there, did pretty well. Merged into running a company for a guy where I oversaw multiple crews, which led into home building. So I got into general contracting and home building, and we got built up pretty big in a short period of time. I know someone in your late 20s, at the time, everybody in the housing industry didn't ever think that the money faucet would ever turn off.
No.
And, I fell subject to that. So 2009, my home building company had to shut down personally, bankrupt, in foreclosure, losing my house. I started real estate. I borrowed $2,000 from my father-in-law. That's how I paid for my upfront fees. And I started out. I was bankrupt. I was living off $300 a week. And I had a friend who I was working part time with construction in the morning, and I would do real estate in the afternoon. And it's one of those things that I just, I'd be up till midnight, and then at it again in the morning. And then one day it just clicked. Um, I decided I needed to focus on something or I wasn't going to make it. At the time, short sales were becoming popular, but they weren't big here yet. They were, on the East Coast and West Coast and areas like that. So I decided I was going to, and this goes back to having no money, because I decided, I wanted to get specialized in something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at the same time, there was a short sale foreclosure resource class designation being offered. Normally a couple $100. It's on sale for $25.
What a
So I'm
deal.
like, I'm gonna go to this class. So, I got no money, might as well. So I came out of this class, and I'm like, this is genius. I'm gonna do this. So I focused on just becoming the best at short sales for probably 6 months before I even started marketing to them.
Wow.
And once we started marketing to them, at one point we were carrying up to 50 short sales at a time, and we still do a handful, not as much as we used to. They're way down,
Mm-hmm.
but we're number one in short sales, uh, probably close to 300 with over a 90% success rate.
Wow.
So that's pretty big and pretty good. I mean, not big, pretty good. But by doing so, you have that type of a presence, you get buyer leads, and then those buyers need to sell. And so at that point, as things started to grow, I got to the point I, couldn't handle it anymore. So they brought in a part-time assistant, and she worked virtual assistant actually. She worked like 10 hours a week, and before the few weeks was up, she was working 40 hours a week, and it just kind of piled on from there. And then it's just grown since. And every year we plateaued 1 year, and every year since we have grown almost double in production than the year before. So, and I tell people, and this is why, when I first started, I was so secretive about what I've done and about how we did it.
Right.
Now I give it to everybody. I was like, here's what we use, our system, here's what we use. I get up front and talk about it. I put it on video, because the reality is they still got to take it and they got to implement it. They got to work it. Right. I've had people tell me before, well, how do you do it? I get up at 4:00. Well, I can't do that. Well, then I don't know what to tell you. Because that's how early this is what we do.
Yeah.
So I share all this stuff now with other people, because again, I've been there, done that. My bankruptcy was not finalized till 2012. That was just 4 years ago. So
and here we are at what, 32 million a year with a team.
Volume, 202
units. 200
my team did last year, and correct. So real estate, the thing I love about real estate is one of the only business where the amount of money you make is how hard you can push. Mm-hmm. And you could give yourself a 100% raise every year if you so choose. There's really no other business you can do that. Mm-hmm. And the quality of life you can provide, again, as long as you do it right, for your family is really unmatched in any other industry.
Well, and I think the thing that I want to weave back in here, and things don't happen by accident. You talk about that conversation you had just in the past week with an agent and his wife. The irony of it is you had just come back from a long road trip with your wife and children too. So here you are running this multi-office organization and running a team. And so I think the important thing for people to see is the choices. We've just got to make the choices and not get on that unconscious treadmill that's there. When did you decide at what point did you decide to move into brokerage, owning a company and growing a company? Because it was probably, I don't know, I think if we sat with 100 brokers in the room, they'd say, it was a lot easier just selling real estate, man.
Oh, yeah, we can make way more selling in real estate.
Why do we do this?
It was, again, I woke up one day, it was February. It's only been a couple of years. It was in February. I woke up and I realized that that I'm holding all this knowledge of how I've done things so quickly. Why not share it? So I decided to become go into full brokerage manager, and not just have a good team, mm-hmm. but have the best agents in the business. Mm. So that's when, I bought into, I was already within the organization. I bought into our current organization.
Okay.
And just been all in since. And that's been one of my focuses. I want to make our agents the best that they can be, and just be all doers, all performers.
So in looking at that, how many partners do you have in the organization right now?
Altogether, within our group, locally there are 8.
And how about from an operational standpoint? If you were to look at the day-to-day operations, how many of you guys are in the day-to-day operations, and what does that look like?
We each oversee our own offices.
Okay.
And we get together every 2 weeks to make the big decisions. Mm-hmm. And every week we lock ourselves in a room for 2 hours, or every 2 weeks, every 2 weeks for 2 hours, and we make the decisions in that room. And then we have a great support staff who, to the 2 heads of those 2 departments also sit in on our meetings, and we make the decisions together. So day to day, we work in our own offices, but from a larger standpoint, it's every couple weeks we get together and make company-wide decisions.
And then are all 8 of you selling real estate in addition, or are there a couple people in
Um,
that are just really into running the organization?
our primary our one most of us, all but one, still sell. He is his he just loves he just focuses on building the business.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
good.
that's his. He's done that for years. He'll do his own stuff every now and then, but his our philosophy is our agents are our clients, and he's just we're all passionate about it, but he's just really passionate about it. He's very technology savvy.
Mm.
We're always looking for the next big thing coming, and we're usually 8 months to a year advanced ahead of everyone else because of the time he puts into that.
Mm. Well, well, and share with everyone, how, because I've seen organizations with multiple owners, and then I'll just make some assumptions here with 7 owners that are selling real estate. You've got some driven people that have their opinions and have their track records of success. How do you make that work? Because it's not easy. I mean, you've got some strong personalities there, and you guys, the one thing that you have is you've got a great group of people moving forward, and you're growing. How have you guys managed to work through that? Because I know it can be challenging.
Yeah, we all have different opinions. We all have different mindsets. We all have different temperaments. It can't get, heated sometimes, but at the end of the day, we talk through it, which is why it's sometimes we'll get done in an hour, but usually 2,
Yeah.
because we need a while to talk through things. And then, our support staff that we have there, we take their opinions very seriously. And a lot of the times, if they say something's not going to work, then we go with it. So we talk through everything. We like to, as a broker group, go on trips to conventions just together. It's more of yeah, the convention's great, but it's just more of bonding with the brokers,
Mhm.
and it just helps. I think helps with leadership, knowing each other from a personal standpoint. Also, our spouses go with us, and while we're in our classes, the spouses are hanging out,
Wow, so
and
smart.
I think it makes us closer. I mean, it may sound cheesy, but we say all the time we're like it's a big family, and it really is. We would do anything for anyone within our group.
Well, and that's what's interesting is it's people want to belong to something, and so you're creating this unit and this group that goes forward. And what happens in that is the whole is bigger than the part. And what we're seeing with each and every one of you serving the whole, the part's getting back tenfold. As you look at, you've got certainly productive agents, and they require, I don't want to call it less attention. They require a different kind of attention.
Mm-hmm.
And so in looking at that, a couple of questions, looking at the shape and form of the organization. How do you all work together with training? Do you use some outside sources, some shape and form for training? And then how often do you bring all of your agents together in a sales meeting type environment or a business meeting?
Uh, we really don't do like a traditional sales meeting per se. We actually, because we are so spread out, we rely on technology a lot.
Mhm.
We have in our largest office, we have a training room. We don't use we might use an outside like content, but we as the brokers do the training.
Mm.
We rotate every Wednesday, and we actually, through a private channel, we syndicate that live while we're doing it, and we record it. So our agents that are 3 hours away over in eastern Iowa can hop on and watch from home, watch from their office, watch from wherever, or they can go into the library later and watch it after it's been dropped in from being recorded.
Hmm.
So we do train on a regular basis, but we might have 20 agents show up, or we might have 3,
Hmm.
but we might have 10 watching online somewhere else.
Oh, that's good.
So that is how we like I said, we're very, very much technology driven. Me personally, also from a team standpoint, my team is now spread out so far throughout our market. I'm doing my team meetings via online just like we're doing here, so they can hop on from home instead of watching, having to drive in an hour.
Mhm.
So that's so getting them to get the only time we really get them all together at once is if it's a big annual holiday party or a
Okay.
special event. But getting 150 agents together on a regular, even 50 agents together on, like this morning was just our monthly breakfast, and I think there was 50 there, maybe more. It's
Mm-hmm.
hard to say, but um, so that's about average for what we're doing. They pop in, they pop out, they contact us when they need us.
So with that, because this is a great conversation, and there are some organizations. I think I got into coaching, Shane, because I worked for a company that made me do a sales meeting on Tuesday and Thursday, twice a week. And I was like, well, this isn't very fun. I need to get out. No. Anyways, with that said, though, there are companies that believe that they need to get together quite often, and they're right because it works. And there are others that don't, and they're right and that works. How are you doing in retention? So let's talk about that. People can say, well, this, we don't have to do it that much. And the concern has to do with certainly with this community and retention. What do your retention numbers look like each year?
Yeah,
Attrition.
we don't have a very high turnover. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we've got some of concepts as for intensive purposes as a fairly young company. It's 15 years old. I think we're about 15 years old. Some of the people we have been here 15 years. Some have been 10.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going on my 7th year. So I mean, quite honestly, if we have a turnover, it wasn't because it was anything wrong with what we're doing. It just didn't fit with what they were looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they were looking for that again, that weekly sales meeting, or just more motivating. And, I'm all about motivation, but we're not that company that's going to give you a pep talk every morning
Sure.
to get you going. Again, there are a lot of self-driven um, agents full-time engaged within our company.
So you've got a group of collective genius. It's brilliant because you have multiple owners that are successful in sales, and then one that's really committed into the leadership thing, which is fabulous too. So you've got this collective genius amongst leadership, and now you've got this group of agents too that are very productive, and so you've got an organization with a very high IQ collectively. How have you in your leadership tapped into that? Does it feel um, like a flat organization to the agents? In other words, meaning that there's this cross pollination amongst us, almost even bottom up. Are you pulling that brilliance forward, giving them the opportunity to guide? Certainly, you guys. I tell people, vision is that you eight owners are the frame to this piece of art. You're the wood frame, and there's a canvas, and people, are the brush strokes on that canvas to create the art. Tell me how that's taking place in your organization.
Yeah, we even with we've got brokers that have been in business 25, 30 years, and we've got agents within our company that have been in business 25 to 35 years. Maybe I think 35 is the highest. That's a lot of knowledge. I'm being a broker, I still go to some of those agents that are been in the business that long
So
and be like,
good.
how you get through this, being in it 25 years later, being 37 and having an agent who's been in it 25. I still go to that. So if there's something that we don't know, one, there's somebody within our group that does know because they've been there, done that. Or if it's an agent, we'll go talk to another agent who maybe has knowledge in that area. We actually have a private private Google page
Mm-hmm.
that agents can go on there and ask questions to the whole company, and the whole company can respond.
So good.
So that's how we, again, being so spread out. That's how we get them all connected. Again, uh, it's all technology based.
Well,
So
and,
that's a big one.
and you point something out here that seems so simple, but so many leaders miss it. is this, there's the overused terms of humility and transparency, and I'm the leader, so I've got to look good, sound good, and play the part. And what's interesting is you're going to those people, is honoring them and acknowledging them at the highest level. I mean, that's the stuff that's key in retention, and they want to contribute more.
Yeah, yeah. So me and one of the other so from a training perspective, me and one of the other brokers on a monthly basis. Some of the other training is specific stuff. Ours is a mastermind we do every month, and that brings in all realms, all producers,
Hmm.
anywhere from the 5 million to the 25 million producers,
Wow.
and getting them all into one room is a big deal. And I learn just as much from them as they learn from us.
Of course. Of course, yeah, the teacher's always the student there. So,
Mm-hmm.
here's one of the things that I've discovered. We just met back in November for the first time, and but leading up to where you're at today, because I think it's great for people to hear the success stories and hear the challenges along the way, but also because there's so much out there from a coach or a trainer or a guide. Share your journey of gathering knowledge, the coaching, the input. Who has impacted you in your business from the moment you started as an agent to the point before we met? Because it's not about me. You had this business, and I was fortunate that we've been able to do some things together. But to talk about that, because I think it's really neat when we talk about, here we are. I've gone through some challenges. I've got a team doing 30 million. I've got a growing organization. Who have you sought out and continue to work with that supports that?
Yeah. So even before I got into the brokerage, a lot of key people, like when I got into short sales, for example, I had taken some classes from a gentleman in South Carolina. Um, Hearing his perspective on things was great. I'd taken a class from Jeff Fernstall out of Minneapolis. Different market perspective, great. Another gentleman out of Chicago, different market perspectives, great. So I pull all that stuff together. Obviously, there's the big ones that you watch on YouTube and stuff. Tom Ferry, Travis Robinson, Buffini. But then it got to the point to where, from a personal standpoint, it's like, okay, I'm at this level now. How can I grow? So I went to my local market and I started asking some of the doers in this town. And a lot of them went and talked to me because I'm a competitor.
Sure.
Now, I did talk to some of the people within our company. They were more than willing to help, but I still felt like I was missing something. So then I started reaching outside the Midwest, and I don't remember how, but oh, actually I do. Ryan Finch uh,
Great guy.
said, "Hey, you know what? You should talk to my buddy Joshua Smith in Phoenix." So I reached out to Josh and said, "Hey, do you have some time?" He said, "Sure, I can block off 30, 45 minutes for you." And I spent, like I said, we set the time. It was a Friday. I got done with that conversation with Josh. He was very open, and I totally restructured a lot of things. Like 3 days later, I spent the entire weekend watching his YouTube channel.
Thanks a lot, Josh. You just gave me more work.
So right. So anyway, so since then, uh, honestly, and this, I'm just saying, this isn't a Josh Smith plug, but I've just followed him. I've watched his videos every week, and that's how I came across you, because you was on there,
Mm-hmm.
and I started following you,
Mm-hmm.
and then uh, Ryan Hodge, I started following
Mm-hmm.
him. Jeff Cohn in Omaha, which Omaha is, stone's throw away from Des Moines. So just started following more and more people. And since then, I've just connected with a lot of good people that started from connecting with Josh. And so every morning I try to watch at least one or two videos, whether it's you, Josh, Jeff, Ryan. I'm sure I'm missing some people, but I've connected to a lot of people, which then has led me going to seminars in Arizona. I'm getting ready to go to my fourth one down there. I went over to Omaha to meet Josh in person when he came to speak to
Right, that's
Jeff's
right.
organization over there.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good event.
Mm-hmm.
And just getting, and the way that they share is what I've set out to do, is to share and get more content. So I stay relevant in knowing what's going on by just following and doing, connecting with other people.
Well, and talk about that, because that's simple in theory, and you make it sound really simple in reaching out. But
Right.
you have a trip planned to go visit Arizona in what, Phoenix in 2 weeks or three
Two or
weeks.
two, yeah, end of the month, 24th to the 24th, I'll be down there.
So, but we'll go back a week or so ago. We had a conversation. You were already mapping it out. Talk about what you've mapped
Yeah.
outside of the seminar you're attending. Share with everyone, not just the, hey, I reach out here and here. What's part of your, a critical part of your travel plan, and share what that's looking like right now outside the
So
seminar.
I set up some 3 meetings. I actually I plan to meet with Josh in person because we've missed each other every time I've been in Phoenix, but we missed each other again because of a mistake on my part. I had the date wrong.
Well, don't
But
let that
anyway,
happen.
I've got 3 meetings set up. I'm going to be meeting with the visiting my home group, one top 500 largest growing brokerages in the country.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna visit one of their offices. I'm going to visit with, from a team standpoint, I'm gonna visit with actually one of their agents who, when I met him, only had 3 agents, and now he's got like 28, and that's been since November.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. So I'm meeting with him, and then I'm actually going to meet with another Remax broker who's getting ready to open up. I think it's like 8th office. So that first day, I'm going out early, is just meeting and going through other brokerages and talking to other broker owners, before the conference even starts.
And so it's certainly investing in you, but at the same time, what's pretty neat is you're investing in all of your agents that you go back to as you gain this knowledge. Because the thing that's really clear, that I think that everyone's probably gathered from our conversation, is you're passionate about contribution, contributing to people in
Right.
their lives and their careers. I think the
Right.
other thing to point out too, that you talk to is again, it's, you're talking to human beings. It's not this, I need to stick with, an agent that works in this model or agent works in that model. I mean, you're talking to independents, you're talking to branded companies, you're talking to
Right.
teams, you're talking to owners. You're getting this 360 perspective, because at the end, it's this, we're in the real estate business and we're all in this thing together.
Right. No, agreed. Yeah, and that's my thing is I've been trying to. Like I said, I visited Jeff's office here back in February.
Mm.
Every time my intent from this point on is anytime I visit a new area, I intend to visit a couple offices and people that I know there, and get to know more about what they're doing and what makes them successful.
Mm-hmm. So where do you see the organization, this 5 year, 10 year business plan? I don't know. I think that things that are always so fluid, especially in our industry, it's moving so fast. But over the next 12 months, talk to, where do you see your team, your sales team, and where do you see the organization, your multi-office real estate company, 12 months from today? What's that going to look like?
Um, you know, Remax real estate concept wise, I think we're going to be well over 200 agents within 12 months, probably pushing 250. That would be adding, 90 agents statewide.
Mm-hmm.
Could be more. I mean, we've got a lot of good momentum going right now. Obviously, market dictates a little bit of that. Team perspective, I'm sure we'll have a few more team agents by then. I anticipate the way it's looking right now that we'll be over 40. Goal 50 million in volume for the year, but we'll
Wow.
probably be over 40.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely over 40. I see. I don't know if it's this year or 5 years, but I see multi state organization happening. So getting into other states, we've got a good model. This new office that we've just opened is the type of office that we can drop in any good substantial market and do well. And that's why we tried it up there, just to see how it goes, and we're going to duplicate it.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm going to share with you. Have you talked to the guys up at Remax Core in Ottawa?
Not yet, but like I expressed to you the other day, I plan on up. I haven't renewed my passport in a while, but I'll be making some trips up there at some point.
Well,
So
talk to the Remax Core guys, Jared up there, and Mark. They were, I think, the fastest growing Remax in the world last year, and they're just great guys. I'll be up there with them
I've
doing an
read the
agent building.
article all about it. So
Oh, so you know, okay, so you're
oh yeah.
stalking those guys. They're really good dudes. What do you see, as you look at this, and certainly, you got to look ahead. What do you see are your greatest challenges over the next 12 months in moving the company forward and your growth as a company, your growth as a team?
Um, Interior infrastructure. You can't. You
Yes.
got it. You got it. When we're already preparing for it, you got
Good.
to have the systems in place to handle that wave of agents coming,
Beautiful.
and just getting that set up. And we, like I said, we've got excellent support staff that handles that stuff and does it and helps put those systems into place. So just like the growth we've recently had, we'll take it as it comes and we'll work through it.
Well, you nailed it. It's behaving like a 200 agent company today, even though we're not even there, and behaving like a $50 million producing team when we're only at $32 million.
We've been behaving like a $50 million team since we were at $10 million. So
There you
we're
go.
prepared for that too.
Sure, that's the vision. What and again, staying in your theme, and thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. What would you share, are the three most important things, and whether it's for, I think they all cross over, because whether you're an agent or you own a team, you're a leader. I mean, if you want to be successful, you've got to be a leader. What would you say are strategy, tactic, or principles, the three most critical principles that you would pass on to others that have contributed to the experience you're having today?
That's funny you say three because actually I have three, and that's what I tell everybody is the three. So the first one, the mistake that is made is people approach this, they're like, I'm going to get into real estate so I can have flexibility. Um, that's just
So
a
now you're a
misconception.
stand-up comedian.
Yeah. So it's a business. You have to run it as a business, and even more than that, it's a lifestyle. Just
Yeah.
because you're not working doesn't mean that you're not your I mean, you are your brand.
Yeah.
So it is a business. Treat it like one. That's number one. Number two, you have to have the systems in place, the checks and balances to handle the business. It doesn't matter if it's you're an individual agent, you're a team, or you're an owner. You have to have the systems into place. And the third one, and I think this is crucial, is be seen everywhere.
Mhm.
So I'm very big into get networking, chamber of commerce type
Mhm.
things. So be seen everywhere. I go to a soccer game, I'm wearing a Remax shirt.
Mhm.
I'm driving around, it's on my truck. I
Mhm.
go to an event, I got a pin on. It's just being seen everywhere. So those are the three main components that I believe that were attributed to our growth and to our quick success.
Well, and I would say, and I think that everyone's heard it throughout this, is contribution and abundance is critical. Where can people, because I know there's that mutual benefit. If someone reaches out to you, certainly there'll be a great exchange. Where is the best place for everyone to find you?
Obviously Facebook. I'm on Facebook, so it's just my name, Shane Torres. So,
Okay.
or email me directly, Shane Torres at remax.net.
Perfect. Awesome. Hey, thanks so much for your time, my friend. Go out there and move that thing from 30 to 50 million and hit those 200 agents you're going after.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. Talk to you soon, Shane.